let's go right here, man. And officially, and I was telling BG and Zay this, and I didn't really recognize this because people never talk about this with the NBA, but the NBA, they actually classify each week and they number them. So last week was technically week 13th. This week coming up, which is January 17th, MLK Day, through January 23rd, that is week 14th. So we're going to go over our best of week 13. And then we're going to project a little bit to week 14 with the top games there. So Isaiah will begin. BG will be in the second slide, and I'm batting third up in that thing. So we'll start here with the best of last week within the Western Conference, the Eastern Conference. We'll do the best of with the best player last week, NBA week 13, and then we'll do best team of NBA Week 13 in both the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference. I've spoken enough. Isaiah, the floor is yours. Go for it.
Hey, thanks for handing it off. And right off the bat, I'm going to go with Western Conference Player of the Week, as Coach T mentioned. Got to look at Jonte Murray, what he's been doing. And it's been resulting into a lot of wins, other than their last game against the Dallas Mavericks. But Jonte Murray is my Western Conference Player of the Week. It's averaging in his last 10 games total, averaging 26 points per game, averaging 24 on the season overall. So you can see he's been elevating his game more and more. Teams are going to have to start keying on him, which Dallas did, but he still managed to get 19 points. And so hats off to him for sure. And I can definitely imagine him having more big games as the season progresses. For my Western Conference Team of the Week, I'm going to go with the Suns. They're like one of those quiet 30-ball teams.
Quiet but deadly.
Yeah, quiet but deadly. Yes. And they 3 wins in a row, over some tough teams. The Pacers, they're one of those young teams that have been on a roller coaster all season, but they play everyone tough. And so it's cool to see that Chris Paul is kind of like handing off the torch a little bit to Devin Booker, who's just been having monstrous games. He scored 30 in their win against the Pistons, their 135-108 win against the Pistons. And he's just been having a heck of a season, averaging 23.7 points a game with assist to turnover ratio that's it's not the greatest, but Chris Paul's is what I was actually looking at. Has a 4.3 assist to turnover ratio. So a lot of good ball being played in the Western Conference, but I'm actually very impressed. And last week I mentioned how the East impressed. They've been impressing me this season. Usually it's like the top teams. You could tell who the top teams are, but recently this season, I feel like it's a mesh. It's probably 3 or 4 teams that could compete for an NBA championship this season. Even though the Brooklyn Nets, they just got the injury with Kevin Durant, they're still NBA contenders. You got Chicago Bulls, and then you got the Milwaukee Bucks as well. And the Boston Celtics are a dark horse. But nevertheless, getting into my player of the week, Darius Garland. He is just growing all season.
Amen.
A lot of people have been saying he's an all-star, and he's showing why he's an all-star. He's just been on a tear. He had a 32-point game the other night, and since then it's just been growing and growing. He's averaging 20 points per game in his last 10 outings, and also against the Brooklyn Nets in 2 games played, he's averaging 24 points a game. So a championship caliber team, he's showing that he can play at that level consistently.
And Zay, I think last game he had over 20 points and he had 18 assists, which he was the first player since the LeBron James to do that for the Cleveland Cavaliers. So I want to shout him out, man. I want to make sure that's known right there.
27 points, 18 assists.
27 points, 18 assists. He was responsible for, I can't even do the math there, but 27 plus. I mean, that's like 45, but 18 assists. Assist is at least 2 points.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
So 36 plus 27. Let me see. 36 plus 7 is 43 plus 20. So 63. So at least 63 points in the game. That's crazy.
It's absurd. And the even mind-boggling stat is that he only had, well, guess how many turnovers he had?
2, 5. He probably had a bunch. I don't know.
He had 2 turnovers, 18 assists. 18 assists and 2 turnovers. And that is mind-boggling. That's
Can he play for Hobart? Can he play for our team? Can we trade for him?
Goodness gracious. I wish that. I mean, he's an elite level player. And
Yes.
I kind of buzzed in BG's ear during the a couple of days ago that I feel as if he is going to be like one of those stars that people didn't realize, like, man, this guy could be, top 15 player in the NBA this year. So definitely keep an eye out for him. Hats off to him.
Little sneak preview. Okay, our top 10s. Okay.
Yes. So hats off to him, Eastern Conference Player of the Week. And my Eastern Conference Team of the Week is the Nets. They beat up on the Bulls pretty bad. And although people were heckling me on social media, I still think that, the Bulls lost to a good team, but the Bulls are going to catch up to that team. But you give credit where credit's due, and I'm giving credit to the Nets. They are getting it done, and the players that need to perform, obviously this news coming a day after we find out Kevin Durant is out for 4 to 6 weeks. But as of last week, everybody showed that they still the team to beat in the NBA. So there was a hiccup against the Thunder. I'm pretty sure that was the game that Kevin Durant went down in. But nevertheless, they bounced back with a win against the Pelicans. And obviously the whopping of the Bulls. And they sit atop, I believe, in the second place. Or they might have sole possession of first. Nope, they're 0.5 games. Yes. So 0.5 games back behind the Bulls, you wonder, but I still think they'll stay up in that 1 or 2 slot. So it'll be interesting to watch. But there you have it, my teams and players of the week.
All right, I'm gonna hop in, and I'm actually gonna start in the East because it's kind of interesting what just happened here. I'm gonna flip-flop player of the week and my team of the week, and me and you are kind of on similar pages here. So for my player of the week in the East, I actually went with James Harden. He's not having as stellar of a year scoring as he has in the years past. He's kind of turning into that facilitator role a little bit. But in a 7-day stretch, he played 3 games last week, averaged 26 points, 7.3 rebounds, and 13 assists. In 2 of the games last week, he had 15 and 16 assists in 2 of those games. So he's balling out. He, like I said, not doing as much scoring this year. His scoring's down, I think, to about 22 points a game, but he's rebounding the ball and he's getting other guys involved. My team of the week is the Cleveland Cavaliers. They went 4-0 last week on a road trip, and they did beat up on some of the bottom barrel teams. They beat the Kings, Sacramento Kings, the Spurs, the Thunder, but they also had a 20-point win over the Jazz on Wednesday night. And the Jazz are the 4th seed right now in the West. Cavs are sitting in the 6th spot in the East. Kind of a surprise team this year, doing a little better than anyone really anticipated. And they're sitting right behind the 76ers and the Bucks. So before the year started, I don't think you would ever put Cleveland in the same conversation with the Bucks or the 76ers or the Nets or the Bulls. And they're right behind those guys and, trying to finish out the year in a good playoff position to see if they can make a run. For the West, my team of the week in the West, I went with the Mavs. They went 2-1 last week. They've won 8 out of their last 9 games dating back to the last couple weeks. And they had a massive 27-point win over the red-hot Grizzlies and Ja Morant, ending their 11-game winning streak. So that's who I went with for the team of the week. The Mavs, they got Porzingis back. They got, Coach Cade back. They got Luka staying in the lineup a little bit more. So I think they're going to pick up some steam here, and I think they're going to get hot a little bit and start being one of the premier teams in the West. As for my player of the week, he plays on a pretty bad team, plays on the Spurs, but I'm going to go with, and I don't know if I'm saying this right, but Jonte Murray averaged 24.6 points last week, 8.8 rebounds, 9 assists.
Jonte
Murray.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Had a triple-double against the Rockets on Wednesday. And he had 2 other games last week where he had like 8 assists, 9 rebounds, so he was just shy of a triple-double. He's balling right now, man. He should be an all-star probably for the West. His team isn't doing that great, but the Spurs, their roster's not that deep. Yeah, he's balling out for Coach Pop and doing a good job for the Spurs out west there. So that's my Western Conference Player of the Week there.
All right, I like that. And just so the people know where you guys are coming from and who you pick, I'm going to make sure I can actually put this down. Zay, who did you have for Eastern Conference and player and team of the week last week? You muted again. Week number 2.
Technology, man. But player was Darius Garland.
Okay, Garland.
And team was Brooklyn Nets.
Okay. Team Nets. All right. And then Western Conference.
On the West was Jonte Murray for the second week and the Phoenix Suns.
The Suns. Okay. And then BG, who did you have for the players of the week? Eastern Conference. We'll start there.
For the East, I had James Harden. For the team of the East, I had the Cavs.
Team Cavs. Ooh, yeah, they had a nice little week. Okay.
In the West, I had Jonte Murray and the Mavs.
So player, you had Jonte Murray.
So I had the Cavs and the Mavs there.
Cavs, Mavs.
Going on.
Kind of rhymes. Okay. And then team Mavs, like you said, in the Western. Okay. So I like all those picks, man. I like what you guys are doing there. I like that we have variety, number one. I like the fact that we got some, I don't know who mentioned, I think it was Zay actually last week that mentioned, I mean, you got some young, budding superstars in the NBA right now. Some guys that are really showing their tail right now in terms of what they can do and, showing the world their ability, man. So I love to see that. I definitely know Garland had a very nice week last week. I picked him as a sleeper for the All-Star game starter. And he just showed why he should be in that conversation for sure. Ja Morant, we know what he's doing, man. That team, went on a 9-game winning streak. Got knocked off by the Mavs. Mavs, are getting hot at the right time. Luka's coming back, so I think that has a lot to do with it. And they just got a lot of confidence, man. So I like what they're doing there. And then Jonte Murray, man, he has become kind of the player that a lot of people thought he would be. He become that, that triple threat in terms of being able to score, being able to pass, being able to rebound, being able to facilitate, play defense, do all those things. So, and I got respect for him too, because he's coming off of the ACL, a couple of years ago, which me personally, I've done that twice. So I know how tough that is. So to come back at a high level like that at the NBA level and, to be a potential all-star, that's saying a lot. For me, I'm going to start in the Western Conference. And my player and team of the week, it's the same franchise. We got Nikola Jokic. All right. Nikola Jokic right now. First of all, this team last week, they went 3-1 last week. They knocked off the Lakers, smacked up on the Lakers, almost 40-pieced them in the last game. And then they 30-piece the Trailblazers. They lost a close one in LA to the Clippers, so that wasn't too good of a sign. But you get to LA, man, sometimes the LA streets get you. And then before that, they knocked off the Oklahoma City Thunder. So they're beating the teams they should beat. They're doing the things they should be, and a lot of that has to do with Nikola Jokic. I mean, this guy is just phenomenal, man. I love players like him because I'm a guy that loves people that can pass the ball, that love to play defense and love to play team-oriented basketball, and he does the right things. And then last week, he had games of 22 points, 18 rebounds, 6 assists. That was against OKC. Against the Clippers, he had 21 points, 13 rebounds, 8 assists. Against Portland, he had 20 points, eight rebounds, 7 assists, and that was in a blowout, so he didn't even play in the fourth quarter. Same thing with the Lakers. He didn't even play in the second half, basically, and he had a triple-double. So you guys do the math, man. So, I mean, he's one of those guys that I absolutely love, man. And then in the Eastern Conference, for me, there's a lot of choices in the Eastern Conference. I'm actually going to double back, man. I said it before, and this is a preview to my top 10. This cat is the Shaquille O'Neal 2.0. I cannot stress that enough. We talking about Joel Embiid. Look, in the Western Conference, we rave about the Memphis Grizzlies. They had a 9-game winning streak. In the last 10 games, they won 90% of them. They won 9 games. You talking about for the Sixers, in their last 10 games, guess how many they won? They won the same amount. They won 9 games, right? And again, all that has to do with Joel Embiid. I mean, this guy is absolutely unstoppable. I would hate to be a coach that has to face him, because I don't know how you even remotely consider trying to stop this young man, because he is absolutely unstoppable. He can literally do everything. Last week, in their wins, he had, again, games of 31-6 and 3, 25, 13 rebounds and 6 assists against Boston. Against Miami, he had 32 points, 12 rebounds and 3 assists. And the thing is, the cat is so efficient. He's efficient from the floor. He gets to the free throw line. He knocks down free throws. He hits a 3-pointer or 2 a game, and then he gonna turn around on defense, block shots, command the paint, and really deter anybody from really wanting to go inside of the paint and contest. Because again, he's a guy that both sides of the floor, he gonna do his thing. So those are my guys right there. I love that we have all different players. I love that we, again, show variety. And again, that's just a testament to the league is in really good hands. It really is, man. Young talent, old talent, in-between talent. They got international talent, domestic talents, East Coast, West Coast. You got everything, man. So I'm really excited, just intrigued to see how this season will continue. So I think we got a good thing going here.